Hey, what's up, everybody? Agamatsu today. Today, we're going to be talking about artifacts in Deepwoken. Now, a lot of you guys may have probably known that artifacts used to be a thing in Rogue Lineage, and these were pretty rare trinkets that you could find around the map or in specific spots that would basically give you a huge power boost. And there were different effects that each artifact would give you depending on which one you would find. So, for example, you could find something called a Fair Frozen, and this would give you a really strong ice spear, or something like a Phoenix Feather, which basically allowed you to heal up every time you would charge up your mana, right? And so these things were pretty game changing for the meta and especially the gameplay. And a lot of basically meta builds would be based around the artifacts. For example, like a Lanish Fisherin Snarf Shinobi. You might hear people say that, but you might not really know what it means. Just imagine how people will talk about like Dawnwalker no attunement, like Nemesis, for example, right? Then imagine like an artifact on top of that. But today I want to discuss the possibility of how artifacts could really be a thing in Deepwoken, because at the moment a lot of people be like, Agamatsu, how would that just not automatically make things even tougher to balance out, you know what I'm saying, when there's already a lot of things that they have to currently balance at the moment. And I do see why a lot of people would initially be like, yo, like that's impossible. There's no way, right? But I think the devs can be creative enough to introduce ways to where instead of it being a direct upgrade to your build, it's that system of balancing out where you have things such as an upgrade, but then things that you're losing or taking away. Now, I previously mentioned this as kind of more of a joke in my, allow this reducer video talking about, enchants on legendary weapons. But to be honest, the positive effects of an artifact don't even have to be that crazy. I think they just have to be cool and unique enough to warrant it being an artifact for you to be able to use, right? So, of course, a lot of people immediately start to think of like, okay, well, like Lannis Amulet in Deepwoken, right? Like how something like that would work. I mean, really, if they really just wanted to straight up import something like a Lannis Amulet effect into Deepwoken, right? Where like, let's just say you get hit with an elemental mantra, you get those iframes for like 2 to 3 seconds. You can't ever, just like how it works in Rogue Lineage, right? And there's like a cooldown of 30 seconds. They can introduce a downside that might make it to where like, yo, actually, this is a cursed artifact because, it's the Deepwoken world. It would make sense that, equipping something from the depths, as one of the lore characters Akira mentioned, there's artifacts in the depths, right? It might come with some fat ass downsides. So as long as the downsides are like fat enough to where like, yo, you see someone has like a Lannis Amulet but in Deepwoken, right? They're going to be weak to something, right? So perhaps they take 10% more physical damage, right? In return for them having like being able to iframe one elemental mantra for like every 30 seconds and having like 2 to 3 seconds of iframes, of course, where they can't hit anybody else. They in turn take 10 or 15% more physical damage because, the Lannis Amulet makes them weaker to physical touch. I don't know, whatever the lore wants to be. But you can see how some people be like, I don't really know if I want to take 10 to 15% more damage from physical. I don't know if that's worth. I can just parry mantras. I already have Return to Dark Ages. But maybe for people who don't have Return to Dark Age, they could be like, oh, okay, wait, I actually have a lot of physical armor already. I don't really think it'd be that big of a deal. I'm like a shadow guy. Like I don't really have Return to Dark Age. Maybe this could be useful for me. So you can kind of see how it could be useful for different sorts of builds, but not immediately become the next big meta thing, but maybe allow more of those niche, unique builds to actually maybe rise up and catch up to the level of being meta, because, it allows them to cover for those weaknesses that usually the meta already covers for in most cases, right? So yeah, that's just a very basic example of an idea of like how an artifact could be. Now, as for obtaining said artifacts, there could probably be a plethora of ways that they could do it. If they really want to do like the old, K conquest method, where like only if you win conquest and it's competitive for whatever reason, that they decide to add it like that. Where like, the guy that loses, the team that loses gets a drowned, and then like the team that wins gets like a reward. Maybe there's like a rare chance for one of those rewards to be like an artifact, one artifact that the guild gets, that the team leader or whoever is leading the current conquest battle gets to choose who gets the artifact or whatever, or gets as like a drop. Or if they really want to, they could just go back to how it usually is, where you just like find it in a chest, I guess. But I think that would be kind of lame. I think there should be more interesting ways to get these artifacts instead of just being like, oh, you just got in a chest, congratulations. And instead, maybe it could be like an actual physical drop, like how you see those cursing medallions in layer 2 drop whenever you defeat the wave event. Or maybe they could put in some crazy PvE event. I don't know, you guys can come up with the ideas. I'm just giving you guys like base examples of how I could see artifacts potentially becoming a thing. But again, if it's too hard to balance, probably would just be better if they don't become a thing. But I really do think Deepwoken needs that next thing, that next step, because there really is nothing else to really grind for, because you can kind of get everything you need pretty easily now. So yeah, that's all I have to really say about artifacts in Deepwoken. Thanks for watching, and leave your thoughts down in the comments down below. Peace.